Do you know that you can compare financial products like car insurance, credit cards, and loans? Visit moneymax.ph and compare all of this for free. Moneymax, helping Filipinos lead healthier financial lives.
Are you looking to get a car insurance? Are you confused where to get it from? Don't worry, Moneymax is here to help you. Find the right insurance for your car within minutes on any device on our free-to-use platform. We work with our partners to give you the lowest car insurance rates, quicker policy delivery, and hassle-free claims experience, so that you can do more with your money and lead a healthier financial life. Do you need a credit card? Are you confused where to get it from? Don't worry, Moneymax is here to help you. Find a credit card that suits your lifestyle and needs within minutes on any device on our free-to-use platform. We provide you with the latest offers from our banking partners and fast-track your application to them, so that you can do more with your money and lead a healthier financial life. Do you need a loan? Are you confused where to get it from? Don't worry, Moneymax is here to help you. Find a loan that meets your needs within minutes on any device on our free-to-use platform. We provide you with the latest offers from our banking partners and fast-track your application to them, so that you can do more with your money and lead a healthier financial life.
Do you know that you can compare financial products like car insurance, credit cards, and loans? Visit moneymax.ph and compare all of this for free. Moneymax, helping Filipinos lead healthier financial lives.
And we're live. Hello. Welcome to the Moneymax Digital Banking Forum. Now, before we begin, allow me to introduce myself. So, hello, I'm Antoinette Aquino. I'm a financial advisor, associate financial planner, the founder of Money Health Check, and your host for today's webinar. Now, I am super excited to have all of you here, excited about all of the amazing conversations that we're going to be having today. Now, before we get into the actual program, let me just give a brief background about Moneymax, the brains behind this event. So Moneymax is an online comparison platform for financial products such as car insurance, credit cards, and loans. The company aims to drive financial inclusion in the Philippines by helping Filipinos make smarter financial decisions through financial education and comparison. Driving financial literacy is core to Moneymax's mission, and it does so through its blog and social media challenge. Established in 2014 as part of Hyphen Group, Moneymax is registered with the Insurance Commission of the Philippines under the name Money Hero Insurance Brokerage. It started by offering car insurance and has branched out to banking products like credit cards and loans. Okay, now that I've introduced Money Health Check to all of you, again, we want to make this event more exciting. So we are actually giving away up to 10,000 pesos worth of prizes. So be sure to stay until the end of this event for the announcement of the winners. Who knows, you might be the lucky one today. Okay, so now that we have everyone pumped up, we would, love all of you to be geared up for the event today. And who better can do that than the co-general manager of Moneymax, Pearl Gonzales. So without much delay, let us all call on Pearl Gonzales to join us. Hi, Pearl.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. So, Pearl, we've anticipated long enough for this day to come. And, what can our viewers expect from today's or tonight's webinar?
Yeah, so first and foremost, thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm excited to talk about digital banking in the Philippines and to learn from our guests. We understand that digital banking is still new to many Filipinos, and that's why we organize this program to understand what digital banking is, how it can help us, and of course, to answer your questions about it. As an online financial comparison platform, one of Moneymax's goals is to help Filipinos lead healthier financial lives. And this talk aims to better understand the state of digital banking in the Philippines.
All right, thank you for that. Now, on to the most awaited part of the event. I know most of you here watching came to listen to the thought leaders of the industry. So, let me introduce the speakers. So, our first speaker is an award winning thought leader on digital information and inclusive digital finance. He has over 20 years of experience in banking, telecommunications, payments, development finance, and financial technology. He was also named as Mr. FinTech of the Philippines by Biz News Asia magazine. Let's all welcome Lito Villanueva. Hi, Lito. It's so good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, hello, good evening, and I'm pleased to be part of this webinar tonight. Good evening. Hello.
Welcome, Lito. Like, I know, Lito, that you were also recognized as the first and the only Filipino in the list of top 100 Asia fintech leaders. So we're very interested to know, with your vision of continuous digital disruption, what made you decide to push that vision at the heart of RCBC? Why RCBC, basically?
Well, as you said, no, when you first introduced me, I've been in the industry for quite a while. Of course, I don't want to disclose my my age because I don't want to give it away. But the thing here is that given the fact that we have millennials and and I think some of your audience now would be part of the Gen Z or the Gen Z, age generation. I think the thing here is that how do we the thinking is always how we can encourage more Filipinos to be part of the formal financial system, because we know for a fact that still we have 70% of the adult population to be part of the unbanked or underserved segment, and we are very much pleased that all players in the industry, including my colleagues here who will be presenting as well, or who will also be in the discussion, have actually committed to make that vision of the government through the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas to bring at least 70% of the adult Filipinos to be part of the formal financial system, and 50% of financial transactions to be in the digital format. So I think because of the pandemic, well, if there is some advantage of the brought about by the pandemic, I think it's the acceleration of digital transformation that we are now seeing.
Wow. Okay. That was only the introduction, and I'm already learning. I see the passion behind why you do what you do, tapping the unbanked population of Filipinos. Guys, that was only the introduction. We have two more speakers to introduce to you guys. So, for our next speaker, joining us today is a super woman, an amazing visionary. And when I say amazing, I mean it. I mean, she is the financial inclusion veteran with over 25 years of experience in the Philippines and in other global emerging markets in Asia and Latin America. Prior to joining Tonik, Long was the president of Rizal Microbank and served as the first senior vice president at Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation. Here to discuss everything about digital banking, please welcome Maria Lourdes Jocelyn Long Pineda. Ayan, welcome Long.
Hi, Antoinette. Hi, Lito. Hi, Pearl. Glad to be
Good
here with you
evening.
guys.
It's
Good
a
evening.
pleasure. Long as a woman in finance myself, I really look up to powerful women like you dominating the finance industry, from working with huge banks and now to Tonik, which was just recently launched in the country and still new to a lot of Filipinos. So tell us, Long, what makes Tonik relevant today?
Well, the pandemic actually, kind of put Tonic's strategy into the forefront. Um, Initially, when we were talking about going digital, the plan really was to make it easier for people to access banking financial services. But the pandemic actually made us even more relevant, because now people have started to really look at the digital platform as a means for doing their financial transactions. So what we're trying to do is, of course, we want to support the same things that Lito mentioned earlier, but we want to take away the pain points that a lot of our customers often have when they deal with the traditional bank. So we're trying to do something different, and we're trying to make it more fun. We're trying to give back our customers control over the money and how they want their money to grow. So basically, that's the concept behind Tonic.
I love it. I love it. So it's all about helping solve the pain points of Filipinos. So,
Yes.
okay, thank you for that. Now, for our next speaker, it is with such great honor to introduce our next speaker, as he is the driving force behind the phenomenal growth of CIMB Bank Philippines, the country's most awarded digital bank. Now, under his stewardship, CIMB Bank has signed up close to 4 million customers within just 2 years of operating in the country. Now let's all welcome Vijay Manoharan. Hi Vijay, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I know it's been, almost 2 years since CIMB entered the Philippine market. And as mentioned, you have over 4 million customers already. But for the untapped banking network in the Philippines, what should they know about CIMB, Vijay?
Sure, it's a great question. So I'll start off by first maybe saying a few things about our journey here. To be quite honest, it's a bit humbling to have this conversation here today with my colleagues. It's nice to talk about this topic to the broader population. Just looking back 2 years ago, as you said, when we first arrived, there was nobody talking about digital banking, and there was no real proposition for Filipinos when it comes to digital banking. So we were the only ones, we were the first ones in town to really push the agenda for digital banking in a meaningful way. And the thinking was to come and disrupt the banking landscape, to really change the equation between what the consumer gets and what the bank gives, and to provide the real value to the consumer, and making banking a little bit easier and not so much a hurdle and something so intimidating for Filipinos. So back then, and fast forwarding 2 years down the road, back in 2018, this conversation about digital banking, this conversation about opening an account in 10 minutes with your mobile phone, having high yielding savings interest rate, zero fees, zero maintaining balance, were all not existent. They were all not available. There was no way to get a loan on your mobile phone like you can today from the digital banks. So we wanted to change this experience. And the thinking was, if other countries' consumers can enjoy these benefits, why can't a Filipino consumer enjoy the same benefit as other citizens in the world enjoy the same banking experience? So we democratized banking, we made it less complex, and now clearly we see consumers have more options in terms of where they can bank with, and there are also more players that offer digital banking solutions, which is really a benefit to the end consumer. So I think for Filipinos who have not yet got onto the digital banking way of engaging their banks, I think it's a matter of time. I think there's a huge movement towards digital banking, and over time, more and more consumers will start to realize, as a digital bank, you get more, and in terms of the value you get from the relationship, but also it saves you time, convenience, hassle-free from just being able to bank anytime, anywhere, just through your mobile phone. So I think more and more people are picking up, more and more people are seeing the light, and I think this is going to be a huge phenomena in the next few months and the next years to come.
Right, right. And I highly agree, because from what I know, CIMB Group has been, operating since the 1970s, and only recently in the Philippines did digital banking become such a huge topic given the pandemic. So it's good to hear, Vijay, that you want to share this opportunity. You want to provide these services to our fellow Filipinos as well. Now, speaking of how digital banking can help us today, we have Pearl here who will explain exactly why we have such esteemed speakers joining us today and how excited we are to have them for today's webinar. Pearl, you have the floor.
First of all, thank you, Lito, Long, and Vijay. We're very happy to have you here tonight. There's so many things to learn about digital banking in the Philippines, and to learn it from industry leaders like you is a pleasure. So this Sakartech Tonik and CIMB have made so much impact in digital banking and in the lives of Filipinos. That's why we decided to have this event. And we knew we had to invite you.
Oh, that's great. And you can tell how fortunate we are to be joined by such thought leaders in the industry. Now, to warm up this event, let's start off with a quick icebreaker. So don't worry, these are not personal questions. It's still going to be related about the bank. Now, let's start off with Long. Okay. So for Tonic, is it true that the name was derived from, well, my favorite drink, gin and tonic?
Actually, that's true. When our CEO founder Greg Krasnov, when we were brainstorming about the name, we were trying to find a name that would resonate, easy to remember, but did not have any uh, adverse meanings in different countries in Asia. And while we were doing that, we were actually having drinks. So we were actually, and yes, true, we were having gin and tonic, but we did a market survey. We actually filled a couple of names, sent it across during focus group discussions, just to find out what name resonated with them. And the word tonic, actually, the people related it to something that's healthy, like a tonic drink. It's a health tonic. So just to make sure that we're not mistaken for a provider of health products, we decided to change the C into a K. So that's how we got the name Tonic. It's not an acronym for anything. It's just because we wanted it to be simple and easy to remember.
Interesting, interesting. So is gin and tonic also your favorite drink, Long?
Um, well, when I do drink, yes. But of course, I'd like something a little harder than gin and tonic.
Wow. Okay, okay. Thank you for sharing that, Long. It's very interesting. Tonic
TGIF,
as
yeah.
right, right. So, okay, for our next question, on to RCBC. Okay. Lito, RCBC Discartec is the first and only Taglish inclusion app in the Philippines. What pushed you to go Taglish in your app?
Well, I think my simple answer to that would be
Mhm.
the thinking that bawal ang nosebleed sa Pilipinas. So the thing here, of course, for the benefit of our good friend Vijay here, the principle behind it, or the initiative that really gave us that push, is really to ensure that more Filipinos will be able to, to understand really well what they are using, or what they are having, for example. So in this particular case, we know for a fact that Taglish is the spoken language in the Philippines. Even our colleagues, or even our compatriots in other parts of the world, right? So that's why when we saw a number of comments from our users, we were quite surprised we were pleasantly surprised that their comment was that, it is as if that the app is just talking to them, and they don't feel intimidated, and it's something that would be a companion, an everyday companion. And in fact, just to let you know, of course, that's why even the word discarded is actually coming from the word discarte and technology. So, and we know for a fact that Filipinos is a nation of resilient, citizens. Amidst any pandemic or any calamity, we always emerge very, very strong. And the thing here is that with this discarte, because I was asked that question before. What is the English translation of discarded? I think the best English translation of discarded is grit. No, it's the grit, the Filipino way. And I think this is something that is of value to the Filipinos, and that's why we're also pleased that after we launched this at the height of the pandemic in July 2020, in just a matter of 5 months, we now have customers across all 81 provinces in the Philippines. And in fact, in the first 2 months of launch, we even emerged to be number one in the Apple Store and Google Play Store ranking. So again, to our pleasant surprise. And in fact, our marketing budget is just 1% of the combined budget of the likes of PayMaya or GCash, right? So it's again, I think it's really the drive towards ensuring that Filipinos would feel that they belong.
Wow, I love that ending. It's ensuring that Filipinos feel like they belong, because like what Vijay mentioned earlier, a lot of people don't want to talk about digital banking and all of that because it seems so intimidating. So it's so interesting how you're able to come up with that idea and to allow more Filipinos to understand, the English terms and make it Taglish. Okay, I love that. Thank you for that, Lito. Okay, so for CIMB VJ, now we know that you've been seeing, or that you've been using the CIMB octopus mascot. And it's really cute. It's really interesting. Is it part of your branding? I mean, why did you choose this animal of all the animals you could choose from?
It's an interesting question. There are many reasons, but really, like you said, this octopus is cute. It's cute, and people tend to have the affinity towards it. And then we also said, hey, it's got these tentacles and this 8 tentacles. What it means is it is multi. It can multitask. It can do many things at one time, and it's always flexible. So that's kind of something which we thought would just appeal to the consumers, and people were fond of it. And we used to get all kinds of requests for this octo plushies that we call it. So it was something nice to have. That's all.
Oh, okay. I never looked at octopus that way, but I used to think octopus was, it was displeasing to the eye. It's like the dark animal of the ocean. But CIMB was able to turn that animal into something cute. And again, it makes sense because an octopus is adaptive, and even if you cut the tentacles off, then it could still adapt into its environment and find a way to live, basically. So thank you for that, VJ. Now, okay, on to the actual talk proper. Now we were able to warm things up. Let's get the ball rolling to the actual talk. So, Pearl, what do you hope our viewers get out of this webinar?
Moneymax run a website survey about digital banking last year. We wanted to know if Filipinos are aware of digital banks and if they have any concerns about digital banking in the country. So according to this survey, Filipinos are actually unable to differentiate digital banking from online banking and e-wallets, since some services such as bills payment and bank transfers are provided by both. So our goal for tonight is really to define what is digital banking. So as like what mentioned by Vijay a while ago, 2 years ago, we don't even know what digital banking is. I think with the pandemic now, it's more and more Filipinos are aware of what is digital banking. But I think this is something that we would want to discuss, and probably our speakers can give us light on what is really digital banking and how we can differentiate from online banking and e-wallets. So the research actually showed that digital banking transactions can be seen as counterproductive because of the need for an existing online account to cash in and cash out. And interestingly, Antoinette, 54% of Filipinos are not familiar with any digital bank. There is low awareness of new digital banks in the Philippines, and Filipinos still need to be more convinced about embracing digital banking. Because of this, we aim to shed light on how does Tonik, CIMB, and RCBC Discarta help Filipinos, and what sets them apart from other digital banking apps. And of course, we would also want to strengthen the awareness of digital banking in the Philippines. And lastly, Lito, Vijay, and Long, we would want to hear your advice for Filipinos who are still confused about digital banking and the benefits it can provide to day-to-day lives of Filipinos.
Right. So perhaps we can start with Lito. In your case,
Okay.
how do you define digital banking for those who have no idea about it? And how do you differentiate them from online banking or e-wallets, right? They get those terms confused most of the time. What do you think, Lito?
Well, I think it's more of terminology. And to further complicate it, remember, I think Pearl mentioned about the predecessor of digital banking or online banking as electronic banking, by e-banking, etc. So, but all of this, no, we talk about electronic banking, online banking, digital banking. These are all the same, right?
Mhm.
It's actually the platform or the technology that now provides convenience and transparency and ease of use to all of their users. It's so the only differentiating factor is that you are not doing it through the brick and mortar setup, for example, going to the branches or doing it manually, right? So, I think the other question was that they're quite confused about how do you differentiate it from the online banking or the wallets or even the mobile banking, for example. No? So remember, your channel is, say, for example, the channels that you are using is, for example, your device, mobile device, or your tablet, or your web, no, via web. No? So which is practically you could use your laptop or your desktop. No? But the platform that you're using would be the same, right? So there was also a question about the bills payment, cash in and cash out, etc. As I've said, the only differentiation is that doing the cash in cash out normally would be done through the third party providers of the fintech players or digital banking players, for example, and they could now go, for example, to a 7-Eleven or a buy it center and so on and so forth, right? But in differentiating that from the traditional way of doing banking is you go to the branch, you deposit your money, you withdraw your money, and that's it. And bills payment as well, you go to the, you pay your actual bill. Normally, remember during those times, no, that there is a bill collector, right? There's Meralco bill collector to your house who will collect the physical cash from you or the water meter reader or whoever, right? But now you could do that conveniently by way of your mobile device, right? So there was also a question about e-wallets, right? And how do you differentiate e-wallets, for example, from your digital savings accounts, right? E-wallets, for example, is a prepaid account, and it's an electronic money that is licensed by the BSP, and it is not interest bearing, right? Unlike say for example, a savings account with a bank, it is interest bearing. So, for example, the likes of this Tech, for example, the likes of CIMB or the likes of Tonik, these are all savings accounts. These are all deposit accounts, and it bears interest, right? So, but an e-wallet, which are practically prepaid products, this does not. It is as an EMI product. It is not allowed by regulations to provide interest because it's a prepaid product. So these are the things that our customers, the Filipinos, must be able to understand, right? And to differentiate what is the difference between and amongst those products that I just mentioned.
I see.
Lito, correct me if I'm wrong, just to summarize like what you've just shared. So for digital banking, it means everything is processed digitally. No documents or forms to sign, no receipts or invoices. So these are
Paperless.
paperless transactions. So that's the
Yeah.
first one. And I think the beauty of digital banking is that it's available 24/7. So no
Yes.
banking hours, and you can do it anytime, anywhere.
Anywhere. Yes. That's
Yes.
true. And
Eh,
I think the thing here is as well is that you're right, no? In terms of convenience, 24/7, having paperless transactions, and practically it's an on-demand experience.
Right, right. So what I'm getting here is that online banking limits you to the services provided by banks, whereas digital banking goes beyond that because you have ease of accessibility, there's the mobility of it. So there's no hassle, right? When you do your day-to-day transactions. Thank you for that, Lito. Now, how about Long? What do you think about, or how do you define digital banking to those who have no idea about it?
Okay, when you speak about a digital bank, you're talking about a bank whose products and services, including their back office operations, are all based on a digital platform. unlike banks that are backed by a traditional bank, a lot of banks, and everybody knows that we have online banking that most of the traditional banks do offer. Most of them actually have products and services that have been designed for their traditional offices and then moved into a digital or an internet platform. As opposed to a purely digital bank, which is like what Tonik is, our products are designed to really be on the digital space, which means we don't have, as Lito mentioned, we don't use a brick and mortar. And what we're also looking at when you design a product that's supposed to be on a digital platform, the way we interface with our customers is primarily through the mobile phone. So our concept at Tonic of being a digital bank is your bank should be in your pocket and your mobile phone is in your pocket. So your mobile phone is actually your bank in your pocket. A lot of us leave our homes, we forget keys, we forget our bags, we never forget our mobile phones. So the use of the mobile phone as the basis for doing your banking transaction actually makes it more convenient for our customers. And another thing is if you go into the definition of the Banco Central about what a digital bank is, a digital bank has absolutely no physical branch. The only office a digital bank would have to be its head office where its back office operations, its call centers are located. But you will not see the traditional tellers and cashiers in a real digital bank. So if you go by the definition of the BSP, a real digital bank would necessarily not have brick and mortar. And happy to say that Tonic is the first privately owned digital bank in the Philippines to get a license from the Banco Central.
I love what you said about how, if we're holding our smartphones all the time, we get access to, we're basically holding the mobile bank in our hands. And I agree that when it comes to day-to-day transactions, faster is better, right? So you no longer have to set aside time each day to make payments or deposit checks, line up in long queues. So with just a push of a few buttons, you can accomplish more. So thank you for that, Long. Now, for Vijay, in your case, how would you define digital banking to us Filipinos or to everyone who is interested, who's getting into a digital banking?
Sure, sure. So I think both my colleagues, my friends Long and Lito had hit the nail on the head. So I'll just give a slight different perspective in addition to what they have shared, which is all accurate. So for us in CIMB, we see digital banking through lenses that we are a digital bank is a bank that is part of a larger ecosystem where the customers does not need to transact just on the bank's assets. This includes even a mobile app or even their web platform. But the bank exists and is co-embedded in various touch points where the customer conducts his or her daily lives. So this is probably a slight left field view. We have a view that people don't wake up and want to go to their banking app every day. Instead, people wake up and they want to book a ride to go to office, at least when times were allowing, or people wake up and want to order food on an app, or they want to top up their telco or shop on e-commerce. So for us, the next evolution of digital banking is how do we co-embed and coexist ourselves in a larger ecosystem to bring a comprehensive solution to enable people's lives and to help them achieve their aspiration. So to us, it's not only bringing a bank product digitally to the consumer. To me, that's still halfway there. But the full end-to-end value for the consumer is truly orchestrating something bigger, a larger purpose to drive the customer value to co-creating a solution to address the customer's needs with another partner. So to us, we believe that the banking product in itself is not the end goal for the consumer. It's only the means. it's the road or the highway to take the consumer to that goal. But what that goal is could be achieved by working with another partner, powering them. So you may know that today we work with Gcash, and we exist in the Gcash ecosystem, where the consumers are able to not having to even come to CIMB, but they can do their full transactions, withdraw, deposit, and open an account, a full banking account, just by being on that ecosystem. So we think that the more and more we can all embed ourselves where consumers go to every day on their daily lives needs, and co-create joint solutions with other organizations for the consumer, then I think will be something more exciting for us.
I know it sounds exciting because it's so nice how you said that digital banking is technically part of an ecosystem. And I guess that's the reason why digital banking was already on the rise even before the pandemic, because eventually we want to transition into that, the ability to bank, to transact, and to move away any way that we want, to make it easier basically. So thank you for that explanation, BJ. Now, Pearl, I guess you also have something to say about, digital banking transaction being seen as counterproductive.
Yeah, I think Filipinos are confused on how they would be able to take advantage of digital banking, because the assumption is you have to still visit the branch to connect your online account and cash in and cash out. So, but I think for most digital banks now, it allowed deposits by just taking a picture of a check. So maybe Long can and Lito can describe how is the process there, and why do some Filipinos think that it's counterproductive, and it's not the case, as we know of. Like, we want it to be seamless and faster in terms of like our transactions online.
Okay, who goes first? Lito, do you go
The law,
first?
the law.
Okay. Okay. Well, traditionally, our customers in the banking space have always thought that for you to be able to finalize a transaction with a bank, you actually need to physically go to a bank branch. Now, when you're working with a digital bank, a lot of the things that you would traditionally have to conduct at a traditional branch, you could actually do using your mobile phone or any other mobile device that your specific digital bank allows you to work with. And I think what's really important here is it's important that all of these things that you would traditionally have to do in a branch, you should be able to do it in a digital platform, which means things like how do you check if the customer is who he says he is. It's important for digital banks to actually have the capability, the facility to be able to identify customers even without seeing the customer face to face. So, when you speak of a real digital bank, there's a lot of work that goes on behind. Technology is very important because it's able to provide uh, proper know your customer. It is able to provide the bank with ease of getting customers onboarded as they're keying in their name, maybe their mobile phone or their email addresses. On the back end, you would have security, you would have your security already checking if this person is who he says he is. And this takes away the pain point because we've actually done a time and motion study of how people open accounts in traditional banks. And it usually takes, at the very least, 30 minutes. You bring all of your documents. What we've done, and I'm sure CIMB and as well as Discartech have very similar experiences, we are able to onboard our customers in 5 minutes. It appears very simple. What our customers don't realize is on the back end, there is so much going on to ensure that the customers are onboarded seamlessly and that their experience with the bank is a pleasant one. So I guess that's how we differentiate it as well. And one thing also is before the pandemic, there was digital banks like Discartech and CIMB were already at the forefront. But the take up on going digital and using, a digital platform or a mobile phone, not everybody was really into it, particularly the older ones who are not tech savvy. They were scared about using mobile phones or their tablets. The pandemic actually forced everybody to look at other means of doing banking because you cannot leave your home. That's when CIMB, Discartech, and Tonik, that's when we became even more relevant because we were actually the answer to people's not being able to leave their homes, but still being able to do financial transactions from the comfort and safety of their homes.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, being physically present in a bank or not is such a game changer, especially for those of us who don't have the time for it. Now, since digital banking is, purely online and you can do it basically while you're wearing your pajamas, right? So from my experience, every time we go to the bank, it takes maybe about 45 minutes, add another 20 if the lines are very long. Now, for VJ, in your case, um, what is CIMB doing or what is your team doing to strengthen the awareness of digital banking in the Philippines?
And that's a good question, right? So for us, exactly like forums like this, which Moneymax organizes really through creating a lot of communications, and I also think it's not only CIMB, but I think working with our partners, whether Discotech, Tonic, and the other digital banks, to also talk and have the open communications about digital banking. So for us, I think the more we talk about it, the more we highlight the advantages, give assurance that a digital bank is just as secure as any other banks out there, and give our customers, give the consumers the comfort and peace of mind that look, that's this really this alternative that is safe and secure, and then presenting the facts to them. And what I mean by that is really presenting the better option. So, as you just said, um, driving in traffic, going to the bank branch and doing your transaction physically, vis-a-vis doing it 24 hours, 7 days a week in your pajamas on your couch. It's almost like a no-brainer, right? And on top of that, digital banks really present a more tangible give back, what I call give back to the consumers, which is um, most digital banks, including CIMB, we give high savings rates. We don't charge customers any fees for having a banking relationship with us, so it's free without any conditions. And with all that benefits, then consumers, I think, will get it. Consumers are smart. They will be able to see what works for them, what is right for them, and they'll make the right choices. So I think through all communications, highlighting the real benefits of banking, the digital bank, I clearly see that more and more customers will jump on the bandwagon.
I like how you mentioned that you want to provide that peace of mind or security to Filipinos because I still remember when back then digital banking was still new to me. So every time I send or transact money, I feel like somehow it's going to vanish, right, in the process of the transaction and it wouldn't reflect on the platform's end. But thank goodness my fear of those contingencies were addressed, with proper research. And it's also good to hear that you're also extending efforts to educate more Filipinos about digital banking and again, providing that security to them. Now, okay, for the next question, we want to know. You've mentioned CIMB has been the forefront. They were the first. Now, for Lito and Long, and perhaps to all the other digital banks that have entered in competition, what sets your bank apart from other digital banking apps? So we could start with Lito.
Yes, thank you. I think, as I've said earlier, this StarTech prides itself in being the first and only Taglish financial inclusion super app,
Mhm.
utilizing the Filipino English vernacular in its interface, making it more user friendly. And every other feature benefits from the user's familiarity with the language, which makes the app more relatable and enables the users to better understand the content. from this, the user is able to get a full appreciation of our financial products and services. And in fact, this month, starting July 1st, we will also be introducing the country's first and only Visayan or Cebuano version of this card then, because we know that 26% of the population of the Philippines would be Cebuano-speaking citizens. No? And we did away with the traditional English language when it comes to banking and simplifying the jargons. No? And of course, just like for example, how would we be able to educate the public? Because remember, these are two-pronged approach, no? Or a vision of ensuring that we provide financial education and digital literacy. And this is just another testament to our commitment to our goal of financial inclusion and digital acceleration.
Okay, so part of financial inclusion is making sure that the app is relatable, it is personal, and that's why you market to those who may not even understand a lot of terminologies about digital banking. So thank you for that. Now to Long. Now I know that Tonik is the first new digital bank to be introduced to the Philippines. And, at first I got confused because I didn't know what new bank was. I thought it was just similar to other digital banks. But later on, I understood that it is 100% not physical. So tell us, Long, what sets your app apart from the other digital banking apps?
Okay, the Tonik app is really this has been designed to be very customer centric. It's focused on actually building a relationship with the customer. So we have been very active also in social media as well, trying to interact with our customers. We listen to them. We try to see their pain points and try to find solutions. And if you've tried using our app, you will notice that our app is very different from a traditional app of a bank. In the Tonik app, we at the end of when you onboard, at the end of a successful onboarding, you get a welcome message that says, "Welcome on board, Han." And our app also speaks to our customers. We use endearment terms like, "How are you doing, love?" When you get your monthly bank statement, the initial line in the bank statement says, "Happy monthsary, love." So it's trying to have a really different relationship with the customer, and our app has a very very good customer interface. So it's very easy to use. It's when you see it, it's most definitely not what a traditional bank app looks like. And we do provide very unique features in our app. I know that all the other apps have a savings product, but we have something that is unique to Tonik. We have what we call stashes. So you have a solo stash and a group stash. This actually picks up from a traditional Filipino habit of paluwagan, where you try to save money together. That's the concept behind how we designed our stashes. So you can save, and it's really intended to be it's focused on saving for a particular goal. It's a goal-oriented savings. You can also do what you call a crew-based or a group-based savings. So you could save up for a travel with your barkada, and you could save together in the same account. Of course, these two types of savings accounts actually have a much higher interest rate than our regular savings account. So in that sense, we are very different from all the other existing apps in the market right now. That feature is something that's unique to Tonik.
I agree. And Long, what really won me over is the stash feature, because back then, I used to think if you put all your money in one account, okay na. But, having them segregated for different goals, for different purchases, actually allows you to save more, and it keeps your finances organized in a sense. So I love that feature. Now, in the case of Vijay, I know that CIMB was the first to be introduced, the first that got a lot of multiple awards. In your case, how do you set CIMB app apart from the other apps in the market?
Okay, so we don't how do I say this? So we don't drive customers to come only to our app. So we want our app experience to exist in other people's app. So that's how. So I think we're probably the only ones in the country and even the region where customers can do a full banking transaction not on the bank's app. So we give the power back to the consumer. If the consumer wants to do their banking transactions on our app, they so can. But if they want to stay at the app of their choice, in this case, a partner like Gcash, which we have, and they want to do all their banking transactions on CIMB, with CIMB on the Gcash app, we also enable that. So we have other partners that are also lined up where we want to enable customers that are on that app to stay on that app to do their financial services transaction with CIMB by not leaving that app and just staying on that app because that's where they are used to. So we're trying to break away the need from forcing customers to come to our app, but let them transact where they want to transact, where they are most comfortable, in which app they are most frequently using. That, I guess, it's the kind of agenda that we are driving to open the access to banking services of CIMB to whichever platforms that the consumers operate in, and to make it more convenient for them. So it's a one-stop center where they can do everything on whichever app they so choose to use.
I love, Vijay, what you said about giving the power to the consumers. And, it's exactly why a few years ago when I was looking for a bank and at the same time, looking for a place to put my money that offers a higher interest rate than traditional banks, CIMB was actually one of the first digital banks that I opened an account with. And we can clearly see why it was a multi-awarded digital bank. Now, thank you so much for enlightening us about the app. But we will now move on to the question and answer portion. Of course, I have a few questions for speakers, and I'm sure that you have too. So let's address them in a quick panel discussion and Q&A. We're here live, actually, and we are also here live with our friends who are very much active in the comment section. So we will be answering your concerns as well. Now, from the very first questions, we're getting a lot of concerns about scams. How can we prevent digital banking scams? So I guess we can start with Long.
Okay. One of the most important thing for people to be comfortable with a digital app or a digital bank is that they need to see that they can trust the bank. It's very difficult to trust a bank where you don't even see a branch. You don't see where they are. Especially for the older people, they would always say, how do I even know that they'll be there? I don't see any of their branches. So it's very important. That's why at Tonik, we actually invested a lot in ensuring the security of the funds of our customers. We have the state-of-the-art security features backing up our app because we want to make sure that their money doesn't get stolen or it doesn't get lost in some twilight zone where they're sending money, it disappears. So we've invested a lot in providing that level of security for our customers. And we've also made sure that we have been very strict about how customers on board and making sure that the person who accesses the account is the real person who owns it. Because, a lot of scammers do try to take over or control your account. So it's very important that safety features, the security features of the app are in place to ensure that customers are comfortable that their money is safe, even if they don't see a physical branch.
Wow. It's great to hear that your company is putting in efforts to invest a hefty amount in security to give them that peace of mind. And in my case, just to give a little bit of a tip, I like to have my own paper trail. So what I do is for every successful transaction, I always take a screenshot of the amount and the reference number along with the screenshot of my balance. That ways, if any issues arise, I have my own proof. So that's something that you can do, Dakyo Janine. Okay, so how about Vijay? What do you have to say about digital banking scams and what your company is doing to mitigate this concern?
Yeah, sure. I think Long hit the nail on the head. I'll just add, on top of the investments that all of us have to make in terms of security and fraud protection platforms, which we all have. I think the ongoing awareness, the education, right, really continuing to enforce in people's minds what are the do's and don'ts. Like, don't click on the link that is just from any random places. When you go and look for the HTTPS, the security with a lock, when you click on the link, be very careful about sharing your credentials and how you set your user ID and passwords. So it's really about continuous education and opening up people's minds of how to use digital banking responsibly. So it's like everything in life. If you're not a responsible user in anything in life, in my mind, you could get in trouble. So we want to get the education awareness heightened and give people really the tools to protect themselves. And while the bank does its part to also ensuring that we invest and we deploy the right technologies to protect customers and to protect their accounts. So I think it's a two-way part. The bank is responsible, but also consumers also needs to be educated, and we're also investing in education and awareness to help people use online banking safe and securely.
100% VG. I mean, the bank can only do so much in investing in security, but at the end of the day, it's up to us consumers to be able to be responsible with our own financial transactions. And of course, as you mentioned earlier, to prevent the phishing emails, the phishing texts that could eventually lead us to a lot of financial loss. So how about you, Lito? What do you have to say about digital scams, especially in the new normal? It's very common now, and a lot of people are victimized.
Well, especially during the pandemic, we've seen the exponential growth of digital scams. No? That's why the industry has been working together with with the regulators, with practically with all stakeholders, and Vijay and Long are right when they said that at the end of the day, it boils down to education, because especially for Filipinos. We are so enticed in terms once we see some text messages or any social media message that we receive just like yung mga get rich quick messages, no, you won in this lottery, or you get 500 pesos or 1 million, etc., and immediately you will click that link, right? So I mean, you just have to make sure that you always have to think at least 10 times before even clicking that link, no? And sometimes the fraudsters are practically 2 steps ahead of us. I mean, in terms of the sophistication, the advancement in terms of the fraud being committed. That's why sometimes the consumers would not be able to really determine what's the difference of what's the difference of a scam and a real message, for example. So that's why again, in partnership with the BSP, with all stakeholders, with the industry, we are really investing heavily on consumer protection and education to ensure that every customer is protected. That's why BSP provided its hotline, its customer email addresses as well, to ensure that all BSP supervised financial institutions would be addressing those complaints filed by any customer.
Definitely. And, it's all about watching out for those red flags, because, again, there's a saying that if it's too good to be true, then it almost always is. Now, let's proceed to the next question. We have one from Paul Joselito Garcia Hernandez. He said, what do you think is the impact of national ID system in the digital banking landscape in the Philippines? Perhaps we can start with Long.
Okay, this has always been one of the pain points of a lot of banks in the Philippines. We have like 20 different kinds of ID in the Philippines. And we all know that there are certain areas in the Philippines where you can have different IDs made at a price. So really being able to establish the identity of individuals tends to be a bit of a challenge. So, this matter about the national ID, we've been working on this as far back as like 10 years ago when I was still working with USAID. This was one of the projects that we were working on. It's taken so long, But I'm glad that this is finally here because it now gives people a single ID that really identifies who the person is. It will also make it easier for banks to be able to identify this person and transact and allow this person to avail of banking services because you're able to identify who this person really is. So if we had a single national ID, that would make onboarding of customers so much easier because right now we have different kinds of IDs proliferating all over, and banks actually have difficulty deciding which ID to accept and which ones not to. So this is going to be it is going to be a game changer in terms of
And
helping customers.
yeah, I think this is very beneficial for Filipinos because typically banks would require two valid IDs. And I think from what is BSP is driving, once we have this national ID system and most Filipinos have it, this is an acceptable ID to open an account and also to transact. And I think this would really help Filipinos on board and be financially exclusive on trying out, like even applying as simple as applying for a credit card or even availing of a loan. And so this is really great news for Filipinos and the digital banking landscape.
Yes.
All right. Well said, Pearl. And perhaps Lito can also say one last thing about the impact of the national ID system to, well, let's say to RCBC. How has it helped, or how do you think it's going to improve the system of approving accounts or deposits in your company?
Well, again, just to further amplify what Long said, this has been a long journey. We've been talking about the national ID system for the past decade or more than a decade already, and several administrations, several congresses, and finally we have it. And in fact, the good news is that the implementing agency, which is the Philippine Statistics Authority under the National Economic Development Authority, made a big, bold target of covering at least 70 million adult Filipinos by end of the year. And you're right, Pearl, when you said that BSP also made that pronouncement that all BSP financial institutions would now be required or mandated that only that even that single national ID or PhilSys will be allowed as a valid ID to be presented when you onboard a customer, because that is actually the paradox in the country today. While you have the unbanked segment that is so high at 70%, and while you are pushing for financial inclusion, but one of the barriers to entry really is the ID, the availability of an ID. But that availability of an ID is just one barrier, which we hope that which we are very positive that it will now be addressed at least head on with this implementation. But the second barrier though is again connectivity, right? The telco infrastructure. We know for a fact that digital banking, all of these apps must be operated or but will only be functional with availability of data, right? But you don't find any data or signal or data access in some of the far-flung areas in the Philippines. So again, good news that BSP, in partnership with the executive branch, with an executive order coming from the president, allowing satellite broadband to be deployed in those far-flung areas. And again, the third component of again having to push for accessibility is again education. We don't want to make all of these mobile apps to be a best kept secret by all of these banks. We want to encourage more Filipinos that having to have a mobile device in your hands will not only be limited to just using it for social media or calling and texting, but it could be used for financial services as well. Because note that the Philippines used to be the texting capital of the world, and now with the number one in terms of Facebook social media posts, right? But we should be utilizing that power in the hands of the Filipinos on how we can make use of our devices for the good of our citizens. And again, at the end of the day, the bottom line here is how we could now enable and empower and engage our citizens.
love the you ended that with such power, how to enable and to empower citizens, and of course addressing barriers of connectivity and accessibility, as you've mentioned, Lito. Now, in line with that, perhaps Vijay can say something about what are your thoughts about the slow internet connection here. So our next question is, all right, so the next question, ayan. So Jam Montaje said, what is the best to use for a student? Online banking, digital banking, or e-wallet? Now, let's first address the question earlier about, having slow internet connection. Has it affected the way you go about your transactions with the digital bank?
So I'll
Vijay.
take on the slow internet connection. To be honest, we've not had significant amount of challenges when it comes to slow internet connection for our customers. So
Mhm.
it's of course it's not at the best of where the more developed markets today experience
Mhm.
high connectivity speeds. But for us, I think in the Philippines, it's getting better, and more people are getting better access to high speed internet. So I think that journey is, of course, we're not at the end of the road, but it is improving, and we see it getting better from 2018 to now where we are in 2021. So for us, we don't see it too much of an issue, but of course, there are some parts which still needs to have internet speed improve. But the metro areas, it works perfectly fine. Now, the other question around what is best for a student, CIMB has recently launched a youth program to onboard customers at an early age. We feel that inculcating financial uh, education, we feel that starting your financial journey young is crucially important, and being aware and being exposed to a banking relationship early on is critical. And today, the young population all want to do everything digitally. So my take on this is absolutely. I think digital banking is the way to go because the young people today live their lives online. They live their lives on their phone. So why shouldn't they also live their banking lives also on the phone? So to me, I would clearly say it's the path is a clear one, which is digital banking for the young people and the students.
Okay, so it's an advocate of being using digital banking, since most of us are already using our phones and we are in the era of social media. Okay, how about you, Long? What do you think? What can you give to Jam as an advice? What's the best use for a student? Online banking, digital banking, or e-wallet?
I have to agree with VJ. The most convenient and the most natural form or vehicle by which a student could, avail of banking services would be through digital banking. It would be something that's going to be very easy for young people because they're already digital natives to start with. I cannot imagine a millennial like even going on the laptop and doing online banking. They would like to do all of this on their mobile phone. And what I've also observed from the customers that we've had at Tonic, I've noticed that those young ones when they see that they are able to save and like set aside money because I want to buy my mom a gift on her birthday, and they're able to do that on their mobile phone, set aside money for that, it gives them a sense of fulfillment and control over how they want their money to work for them. So I think it's very important to inculcate this in the youth so that we can build a savings culture in the Philippines and not just spending culture. So it's important, and this I think digital banks can actually provide.
I highly agree, Long. And I like how you mentioned that we have to cultivate the culture of saving, especially in the Filipino family setting, because money is still a taboo topic. And, well, I used to say that your wealth perspective is really more on how you were raised, your upbringing. So the parents here are watching, you guys have a role of educating your kids about financial literacy, and of course about digital banking. Now, to Lito, I know you've mentioned earlier that you didn't want to reveal your age, but in your case, if I do know that you have a children of 6, what would you advise to them about digital banking?
Yes. So you revealed the number of my kids. I have half a dozen. It's cheaper by half a dozen. So well, yes. The good thing here is that, especially for as my advice to our millennials or even the Gen Z generation, the thing here is that, for example, for this card deck, 80% of our subscribers or users are practically millennials, no? And a big chunk of that would be Gen Z or Gen Z. The thing is, and 63% would be female, and 70% of them would be living outside Metro Manila. So that would be the demographics. And also, I would like to encourage everyone, because remember, when you talk about students, for you to be able to open a savings account, you have to be your age must be at 18 years old. So you have to be at the legal age for you to be able to open a bank account. So in the digital banking space, as we know it, with this card deck, you'll be able to open an account in less than 3 minutes. And with that, it doesn't require you to have an initial deposit. It will not require you a maintaining balance. It will not charge you for dormancy fees. So you can open an account anytime, anytime, anywhere to your convenience, and without you having to put any money yet, no, just to open an account. So and then this is just what Long said, no. We want to build a culture of savings culture, no, in the Philippines, and we've seen it. And in fact, even amidst the pandemic, we've seen the growing number of Filipinos really saving, no? Really putting their funds to save, no? And in fact, for us, our month-on-month growth rate as to deposits for this card deck, it's a 3-digit growth rate at 128% month-on-month. So that is really something that would tell us that even we are in a crisis right now, Filipinos are now to be part of the formal financial system. And I think campaign towards financial education and digital literacy is really taking effect. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm a Zillennial myself, and on behalf of the Gen Z, thank you so much for your advice, Lito, Long, and Vijay. Now, let's just read a few comments just so that we can acknowledge the people who are here with us today. Javel said, very informative topic. So many learnings tonight about banking. Thank you, Javel, for tuning in. And Fresi Erta said, kudos also to RCBC, who helps a lot of Filipinos about how to be more understandable about banking. Thank you, Fresi, for tuning in as well. Do we have more comments? Javel said, very useful for me. I want to save more money. So it's good to hear that you're encouraged to actually take action and to save more money. Thank you, Javel. All right. So our Nicole said, wow, no fees and maintaining balance. So there is that advantage of switching to digital banking. Thank you, Nicole Mostrales.
Just to add to that.
Sure, go ahead.
I forgot to even say, yeah, because I already mentioned that because there was a comment from Nicole about no fees and maintaining balance. In fact, for this card deck, we also waived the transfer fees until end of the year. So you can transfer from this card deck account to any bank or any wallet that you have. So it's free of charge. Unlimited free transfers until end of 2020.
Okay, so let's read 3 more comments. Carrie Dress said, that's true. No more too much IDs to be presented on the banking transaction. So less hassle. Naman talaga. Okay, next question or comment. Crystal Artate said, Tonik, first bank in the Philippines to be certified compliant with the gold standards of SISA and PCIDSS. Ayan, tapos may link pa. Thank you for that, Crystal. Fresi also said, thank you for the tips, Sir Vijay. Well explained po. All right. Okay. So thank you very much. That ends our question and answer portion. Thank you again to everyone for participating, and especially to our speakers and, of course, the commenters as well. So Okay, now is the moment that you've all been waiting for, the raffle draw. Okay, so let's see who are the 8 lucky winners who will be bringing 10,000 pesos worth of vouchers tonight. Ready na ba tayo mga kaibigan? All right, okay, so ito lang yung downside. If I'm the host, hindi ako kasala sa raffle. But okay, I'm super excited to announce the winners for tonight. So, for the GCash voucher, ayan. So, our first winner is Nicole Mostrales. Congratulations for winning GCash worth 1,000 pesos. Okay, to our next winner, ayan. So we have, is this Diane? Diane Dean Barrow. Congratulations for winning GCash worth 1,000 pesos. Now on to our next winner. Okay. We have Jamima Ryla Alfonso. Congratulations for winning 1,000 pesos. So our team will be messaging you for your mailing address. So please watch out for that. Now for our last 2 winners. Is it 2? Okay, so we have ayun. Jam Alisa Montajes, congratulations for winning 1,000 pesos. Last one for GCash. Okay, we have our very last GCash winner. We still have 3 more though for our Shopee vouchers. Stay tuned for that. Okay, so for our last winner of GCash, congratulations to Rona Jean Dumasig. Ayun. Okay, now for our next batch of raffle prizes, we have 3 winners of Shopee vouchers. Okay? So for our first winner, ayan, pwede na kayo mambudal on Shopee. Congratulations to ayun, Rona Jean Dumasig. Okay, and just to clarify, I'm so sorry, the previous winner was will be receiving the Shopee voucher. Okay, now on to our second winner of the Shopee voucher. Okay, so congratulations to Dareen Faye or Dareen Mamala. Congratulations for winning a Shopee voucher. Okay, so is this the last winner or do we have one more? All right, so we have one last for Shopee. Let's see who will be the lucky winner for tonight. Congratulations to ayun, I think I see it. Okay, congratulations to Heidel Andrea for winning the Shopee voucher. Again, the Moneymax team will get in touch with you for the mailing address. Now we've heard we've got a lot of learnings from our speakers, and of course, thank you again to our commenters for participating. Now we have Pearl to start with your closing remarks. Pearl, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Lito, Long, and Vijay, for gracing us tonight. I'm glad we had this discussion and was able to give light on how digital banking can help Filipinos. Here at Moneymax, our goal is to help Filipinos lead healthier financial lives. We support Discartec, Tonik, and CIMB in building awareness and in helping Filipinos with their banking needs. At Moneymax, actually, we create a lot of content, articles, tips, and guides on how to better manage your finances, educate Filipinos more about digital banking, and even how to prevent digital banking scams. So if you want to know more about digital banking and how it will benefit you, visit our website, www.moneymax.ph, and follow us on our social media accounts in Facebook and in Instagram. So again, thank you, Lito, Long, and Vijay for tonight. It's very insightful, and I'm sure Filipinos are now more aware of what is the benefit of digital banking in their daily lives.
Well, everyone, there you have it. That concludes our Moneymax Digital Banking Forum. Thank you all for making the time to join us here today. This has been your host, Antoinette Aquino. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Signing off. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Bye.
Happy weekend.
Have a great
Have a
weekend.
nice
Bye-bye.
weekend.
Do
Bye.
you know that you can compare financial products like car insurance, credit cards, and loans? Visit moneymax.ph and compare all of this for free. Moneymax, helping Filipinos lead healthier financial lives.
Are you looking to get a car